Today I'm going to check out a foundation that I have had my eyes on since summertime, and that is the Makeup Forever Water Blend Foundation. Hey everybody, Shelly here, and today I'm very excited to check out a new foundation that I have basically been stalking since this summertime when it came out, and that is a foundation from Makeup Forever. It is their, let me shake it up, Water Blend Foundation. And this is a replacement or a reformulation of their Face and Body Foundation, which I had never used, but I know was very, very popular. And I've got this in shade R210. So the way they've named their shades, all of the R colors have a pink or cool undertone, and all the Y colors have a yellow or warm undertone. And that's kind of how you can help narrow down what shade you are. So this was the lightest warm shade, or excuse me, cool shade that they had. Now, the sort of advertisement that makes up the features of this foundation, it is 80% water-based. Cats are hissing, fighting in a box. You know, boxes are important. So just to read some of the claims, this is a foundation that is 80% water. It gives skin a fresh, dewy glow with an unrivaled formula that feels so lightweight, sheer, and comfortable. Now, on the website, they describe it as sheer coverage to buildable coverage. The people I've seen that have tried it out already you're not going to get full coverage out of this foundation. So it is a lighter coverage foundation, but for my purposes, I don't have a whole lot to cover up. I've got a little bit of redness and uneven skin tone. I've got a little bit of sun damage spots, freckles, kinds of things that I like to cover up, but I don't have a ton of issues aside from the things that are sort of coming with age, the fine lines, sort of larger pores, texture issues. So that's what I'm coming into this with. Now, they describe this as a quick and easy application for face and body. It's a water-based, waterproof foundation that evens out the complexion and leaves a natural-looking satin finish. Created with 80% water, this long-lasting, unique water gel texture naturally hydrates and blends in evenly for a smooth, flawless look. So those are some major claims. Now, it is only about 55, 60 degrees outside here in Virginia right now, so I'm not going to be sweating a lot, so I'm not really going to be testing the waterproof nature of the foundation, but I will be able to tell you if it wears off or how well it sits and stays on the face. And so that's kind of the plan. I've really wanted to try this for a long time. Some of the reviews were like hit and miss, and so I was putting it off and putting it off. But I finally decided with the VIB Rouge sale to take the plunge and try it out. So I'm going to wear this for a few hours and I'll show you the application. I will come back with check-ins later on and we'll see how it does. Alright, my face is cleansed and I've moisturized with my Clarins SPF Hydrating Hydro Quench, I think they call it, moisturizer. I'm going to do the Too Faced Hangover RX primer on this side of my face and the Makeup Forever Step 1 Nourishing Primer on this side, just to see if there's any difference between the recommended primer, which looks like it is silicone based, and a non-silicone primer. Now, the Too Faced is coconut water based, which is supposed to be really good and hydrating and, you know, good stuff. It does smell a little bit like coconuts. I don't like coconuts, but I can tolerate the scent because coconut scent is in so many things. Aside, I'm going to do the Makeup Forever. The other thing between these two primers, the Too Faced is cruelty-free, whereas Makeup Forever is not a cruelty-free brand. So if that is of concern to you, it is of concern to me, but I have not yet completely converted to cruelty-free, so I'm still in the sort of gray area. So yeah, this one doesn't really have much of a scent at all. It smells a little bit sort of clean-ish, but not really. I wouldn't say it's heavily fragranced. From what I've seen of other people trying out this foundation, they've had the best success with a brush. I've got the Kat Von D foundation brush number 10, which I am loving, the Locket Edge brush. Some people seem to like to then blend with a beauty blender, so I've got my trusty damp beauty blender. Can you tell that Daffy, my cat, has been attacking it and stealing it off of my vanity, so there are tooth marks all over my beauty blender, but it's probably about time to invest in a new one anyway. But now I'm picking off the cat hair from when she knocked it down on the floor to play with it. So I've got both of those handy to me just in case I feel like I need them both. And here is the star of the show, Shake It Up. This is the Makeup Forever. This is in shade R210, and it sounds like water. Can you hear this? I'm going to shake it near the microphone. It sounds super liquidy, and let's see how it does. We've got a nice pump, sturdy glass packaging, which is always nice. My lid wasn't quite screwed on all the way, which is slightly disconcerting, but everything's fine. Doesn't appear that anything has leaked. I'm going to start out with 2 pumps. And I think I'm just going to dab it onto my face and then blend it with the brush. So, ooh, very liquidy. Let's see. Can you see how it's just running just a little bit? It's not super, super duper watery, but it's more on the liquidy side than not. It's the most liquidy foundation I think I've ever used. It's quite liquidy. Now, some people also have used their fingers to blend this out. It's a very sheer foundation to begin with, so I'm not liking the texture I'm getting with this brush. So I think I may sort of spread it with the brush and then go in with my beauty blender, because the main complaint people had with the beauty blender application was that the sponge soaked up a lot of the product. So I don't want that. Well, actually, as it's setting, the texture's kind of going away. One coat. This is quite sheer coverage. And maybe we will beauty blender it. I'm gonna do 2 more pumps. Yeah, a ton of it soaks into the sponge, so I see why you wouldn't go in this way right off the bat. Now, this is touted to have buildable coverage, sheer to buildable. I would say it was definitely sheer on the first pass. So where 2 pumps got my whole face with a brush, it got not even half of my face with the sponge. I feel like you kind of have to work at it. When you first apply it, it looks odd on the skin, and you kind of have to work at getting it blended so that it does sort of meld in with the skin. With 2 coats, I would say I'm really probably only at light coverage, because I can still see even what I've only got a little bit of redness to my skin, and I can really still see it, and I can see all of my sunspots and freckles still. So this is not the kind of coverage if you're trying to sort of cover up issues. However, my skin tone does look more even overall. I'm debating if a third coat would be something that we should do. Now, on the bright side, it is not settling into any of my lines on my forehead or around my nose. It's not settling into the lines around my mouth. It's definitely interesting. I think I'm going to go one more pass with the brush because honestly, even with that second coat, I think I probably soaked up more with the sponge than I actually applied. So let's try one more time. I'll dip in with the brush this time. See how it starts out having you can see all your brush strokes, but as you go, it sort of settles down. One more bit for the forehead. You do seem to need kind of a ton of product. So I feel like you do have to work at it to get it blended, but once you do, it's a pretty nice look on the skin. There's not much coverage, but it is a nice sort of smooth satin sort of look to it. It's not settling into any lines. I don't think it's necessarily helping texture or pores, but it's not making them worse. I can see the pores on my nose just a little bit. But I also feel like it's not setting on my nose the way it is on the rest of my face. Let me zoom in, we can see what we've got going on here. All right, I'm gonna go put the rest of my makeup on and we'll see how we're doing. And we're back. I ended up setting my face with the Laura Geller Double Take Baked Versatile Powder Foundation in Porcelain. This is supposed to be a sort of dewy foundation, but it seemed kind of patchy in its dewiness, so I decided to just set everything to try and even it out a bit. My overall first impression is a bit conflicted. So the side that has the Too Faced Hangover RX Primer Potion, the water-based primer, looks a lot more smooth than the side that has the Makeup Forever primer. So on the Makeup Forever side, I've got the foundation settling into the pores on my cheeks. I also have it settling into the pores on my nose, which my nose was kind of half and half primer. It's not clinging too badly to dry spots. I get really dry around my nose. It's clinging just a little bit around my nose ring where that's a little bit dry, but not as bad as some other foundations. It had very minor settling into fine lines, enough that I was able to tap it out and it stopped happening. It's really not settling into lines, which is good. Let me zoom you in and show you the cheek because this is bothering me a little bit. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but it's essentially right in this area where you can kind of see the polka dot foundation in my cheeks. And I was able to blend it out a little bit more down here, but even so, you can see little polka dot foundation sort of in my pores on my cheeks. So I'm going to call the check-in time 1 o'clock. It is 1:24 right now after I've put on my makeup. On my face, I've got the Morphe KathleenLights collaboration eye palette, the Tarteist glossy lip paint in, what color did I use? Goals. And just to mention, in the Sephora VIB Rouge sale, the only things I picked up really were things that I can only get at Sephora. I'm going to start transitioning my purchasing to Ulta. I like their Platinum program better than VIB Rouge. I don't have a Sephora close enough to me to take advantage of the free makeovers and things like that, so it really, I prefer the cash bonuses as opposed to getting to choose from whatever limited selection of things Sephora wants to give me for points. So I ended up buying this foundation. I also bought the Kat Von D powder, setting powder brush. This is brush number 20. Oh, it's like putting fuzzy bunnies on your face, except it's not because it's vegan and cruelty-free. It's a synthetic brush. I love the shape. It is just, I'm so impressed with these Kat Von D brushes. I've now got the foundation brush, the concealer brush, and the setting powder brush. Thumbs up 100,000,000%. I love they're just awesome brushes. So that's what I've got on my face. I will check in a little bit later. I've got to go to the Wildlife Center. I volunteer at the Wildlife Center of Virginia as an outreach volunteer, and I'm giving some tours today, so I'm going to go do that. I'm going to be outside, I'm going to be inside, I'm going to be talking a lot, and I'll be gone for a few hours. So once I'm done with that, I will come back and check in with you guys, and we'll see how this foundation is doing. And we are back. It is about 10:15, 10:16, so this is just over the 9-hour mark since I applied this foundation. And I apologize that I was not able to get an earlier check-in, but it has been a non-stop day and evening. And here I am. So this foundation at the 9-hour mark looks horrible. I don't know if it even looks okay from a distance. So what I've got going on here, it's completely worn off my nose, as you can probably see from the redness. The first thing I noticed when I got home and looked in the mirror was that I look shiny, and I'm not oily. I don't produce oil like at all. So, oh, hi Ziva. Get down. Go. So for someone that does not get oily, I look shiny. I don't feel oily, but I look shiny not in a good way, not dewy, not glowy. I look shiny. The other thing is that the foundation has totally broken down around my nose, around my upper lip. It is polka dot city on my chin. My cheeks are polka dotty. I mean, right around my laugh lines, it's pretty atrocious. And I see texture all over my face. This is just, I'm kind of embarrassed that I was out in public at an event like this, but yeah, not so good. Let me zoom you guys in and show you the damage. The area around my lips and my nose is especially disconcerting, but also the cheeks. And my chin. My forehead doesn't look as bad, aside from looking oily. It's completely broken down in between my eyebrows. It's just bad. It just looks really bad. It's cakey and flaky in my nose, in the crease here. It's completely worn off, and I did not blow my nose or anything all day long. Yeah, polka dot scales happening around my lips. I'm so disappointed because I've been looking forward to trying this foundation for months, and from the claims it made, I was really thinking that it was going to be the kind of foundation that was going to work for me based on the claims, based on the description, based on the ingredients. And if this is how it works, there's just absolutely no way. My chin looks atrocious. It's disgusting, really. Oh gosh, it's just gross. So this is not a win for me. In fact, I think it's such a fail that it is probably going right back to Sephora, unfortunately. So yeah, that is how this foundation wore. I'm not even sure it looks good from a distance on camera. I don't even know if these bright lights could help it. If it does, I'm not comfortable wearing this out in public. So I may give it another go with a different primer, but I would say neither side, the Too Faced water-based primer or the Makeup Forever silicone-based primer, they both look equally bad. So this is a fail in my book. Not gonna keep it, unfortunately. So I hope you have better luck with this foundation, and in my book it is just not going to work out for me. But thanks anyway for taking the time to hang out and geek out over makeup with me. Checking out new foundations is one of my favorite things to do because I'm still in search of my holy grail. I've got a couple favorites, but they're not quite holy grail status, so I will keep on searching until I find those holy grail foundations, and when I do, you guys will be the first to know. So thanks for hanging out for a bit. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are, and take care of each other. Bye-bye.